Good morning, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Wednesday, April 27th, 2016, around 6:48 in the morning in Billerica, Massachusetts. It's sunny out, starting very chilly. It was about freezing in Billerica, Massachusetts, but it's supposed to rebound up to about 60 today. And for the next several days, there's going to be frosty nights and mild days. Usually you get that in April and early May. Some news to report. Boston Red Sox beat the Atlanta Braves by the score of 11-4 in Turner Field. These two teams will play again today at Fenway Park, and the Atlanta Hawks beat the Boston Celtics by the score of 110-83. The Hawks are up 3-2 in this series, back to Boston for Game 6, and the Toronto Raptors beat the Indiana Pacers by a score of 102-99. They have and the Raptors are up 3-2, and there was a shot last night by the Pacers, but it was not accepted because it was after the buzzer. It was a three-pointer, and if it went in before, it would have went into overtime. Stanley Cup playoffs continue today. They start up again, 2 games. The first second round game, game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals between Lightning and the Islanders, 7 p.m. on NBCSN, and then followed by Game 7 of the first round series between the Predators and the Ducks in Anaheim at 10 p.m. We could get both games on NBCSN. And that's about it on news. My first video blog subject of the day is the continuation of the top 10 list of everything and anything. I've now reached the top 10 worst sports teams of all time. These sports teams had very bad seasons, and they go down in history as the worst, disgusting, despicable, you name it. And here they are, number 10 on this list of the worst sports teams of all time, the 1992-1993 San Jose Sharks. San Jose Sharks only won 11 games in 1992-1993. They finished last in the division. It was horrible, and this is when they the year that the NHL expanded to 24 teams. The Sharks were a second-year franchise, and they were awful. And the coach, George Kingston, lost his job. Number 9 on this list of the 10 worst sports teams of all time, the 1992-1993 Ottawa Senators. The Senators were an expansion team. They only won one road game the entire year, and it was on the last road game of the season the Senators had. They were goddamn awful that year. It was horrible. And it was when they expanded, the NHL expanded. It took a couple of years before the Senators would be real good. Number 8 on this list of the 10 worst sports teams of all time, the 1974-1975 Washington Capitals. The Capitals were an expansion team that came into the NHL that year. They only won 8 games overall. Milt Schmidt was their coach for a while. It was, very horrible to see a team only win 8 games during the entire season. Number 7 on this list of the 10 worst sports teams of all time, the Philadelphia 76ers, 2015-2016. The Sixers were just plain horrible this past season. Only 10-72. The team lacked direction and stuff. They were probably losing games on purpose. Number 6 on this list of the top 10 worst sports teams of all time. The 1972-1973 Philadelphia 76ers, finishing with the worst record in NBA history, 9-73. That's goddamn awful. Number 5 on this list of the 10 worst sports teams of all time, the 2003 Detroit Tigers. This was a horrible 43-119. Tigers were like bottom feeders. It was just plain disgusting. 3 years later, they made the World Series. Amazing. Number 4 on this list of the top 10 worst sports teams of all time, the 1976 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, an expansion team that came into the NFL that year. They finished with a record of 0-14. They lost their first 26 games, which is just horrible. Number 3 on this list of the worst sports teams of all time, the 1962 New York Mets, finishing with a record of 40-120. The National League returned to New York in 1962. Legendary manager Casey Stengel. Matt was the Mets' first manager. He was probably the only real star of the team that year. He was very enthusiastic managing the Mets, but he couldn't deliver wins. There was a lot of pitchers on that team that lost 20 games. Number 2 on this list of the worst sports teams of all time, the 2008 Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions lost all 16 games that in 2008. 0-16 was very horrible to be a Lions fan that year. And number 1 on this list of the top 10 worst sports teams of all time, the 1899 Cleveland Spiders. The Cleveland Spiders played in the National League, and they finished with a record of 20-134. And in 1900, the National League decided to contract 4 teams, and with the Cleveland Spiders awful record, they were contracted. So that was, for losing so many games, that was their consequence. They were folded and contracted. And that's about it on this list. Tomorrow will be about the top 10 best NHL hockey mullets of all time. And this weekend, I'll be doing the top 100 greatest professional wrestlers of all time. 2 more video blogs coming your way today. One will be about why it's so tough to repeat in the NHL to win the Stanley Cup. And the third and final video blog of the night will be about the WWE, the next generation years. The new generation years from 1993 to 1996. Keep calm, everybody. I'm a Julie Button guy. Molly Rosenblatt of WCCO works and has nice legs. Elizabeth Hart's so stunning. She's the best. Amy Swense's awesome. Bobby Gibbs of ABC 11 has that sweet Southern accent. Linda Church of WPIX New York's a sharp dresser. And in the words of Dr. Thomas Sharkey, this action will not be tolerated. BMHS. See you later. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google.